Hey, good afternoon, folks. We got a special show today. We got Tyler Bushnell, Mr. Tyler Bushnell, founder and CEO of Polycade. We got also our hosts here, King Creo and Prince Malcolm.
Hello.
All right.
Yeah, I had a co-founder at one point, but he's not
right.
in the company anymore. So does that mean I'm the founder, or did I stay?
You're the whole founder.
I say founder.
I've been using like creator at some point to just like avoid any confusion.
Right.
Man, Tyler, thank you so much, man. I know you've been busy, man. I know you had a pile of emails. You got some things that's getting off the hopper, but I'm glad you took the time out. It's a busy Friday, man. We just wanted to sit down with you, actually talk about what you got going on, what's up and coming, and just get to know you a little bit more. Let our viewers know who Tyler is. Everybody hear about the arcade company, but how did this get started, you know? And one of the questions I wanted to kick this off with, I wanted to be fun, Tyler. Now, we all know who your dad is. We don't need to say his name. We know who your father is. But with that being said, we know you had a game room. At least we assume you had a game room. Growing up, walk with me. Take me to Tyler's house as a 10-year-old. What was Tyler's game room like? What was in your house? That's what we want to know. We want to keep it off.
Good. That's a good one. No one's brought that up before, and you're absolutely right.
That's all we need.
we grew up with an arcade in the house. It was on the top floor. The top floor of the house was just one room, one big room, and it was like one side of the room was a snooker table. Which if most people are not familiar with snooker, it's like pool, but the table is 4 times the size of a regular pool table, and the pockets are smaller. It's like super hard. But so that was one side of the game room. I don't know why we had a snooker table.
I was about to say, I never heard of that.
Yeah, totally.
Oh,
it was like a great field for like playing toys. Like we used to do our Legos up there on because
G.I. Joes,
like as kids, we just get up on there, and it was just like a green like layout for playing toys on. And then once we got into like Warhammer stuff, it was perfect for that. But so yeah, we had our own fun with that snooker table. But then the other side of the game room was pinball machines and arcade machines.
God.
And so most of the arcade machines were like early arcade machines. We had a Super Breakout. We had always forget the name of this other game, but I actually saw it pop up on a game list recently. It was some bombing game where you had like a blimp or a plane. Canyon Bomber. Thank you.
That's a fun game and hard as Canyon Bomber.
Yeah, right on. Which we had a lot of fun with Canyon Bomber. What other machines did we have? We had like at least 2 other machines, plus a dominoes machine, which was like one of those like 4-player like table machines. We had a lot of fun with dominoes. That was a fun game, like 4-player, like Snake, basically, right?
Right.
And then, but I think like of those like 4 other arcade machines, like I know for sure Super Breakout, Canyon Bomber, and Dominoes all worked. I think the other 2 didn't work. That's why I don't remember what they were.
It's pretty typical for having arcade. So what you telling me, Tyler, is the show Silver Spoons and Rick Schroeder having that arcade house was really you. Everybody
I think he had a better arcade setup.
Hey, because he's the reason why I wanted arcades in my house. I mean, when I was watching that show, and I'm like, man, how cool it would be to have an arcade in the house. Look at this dude's living room, man.
Yeah, super fun. We had a lot of fun up there.
To give our audience a viewpoint, can you tell us around the year this was all going on for you? At your memory recall?
Yeah, totally. We moved out of that house when I was 17, so that would have been 1997.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So like up until then, we were playing up there. I actually almost set the house on fire in that room.
Ooh.
Did Tyler have a chemistry set?
What's that?
I said, did Tyler have a chemistry set in the house?
Yeah.
No, it was like we were making like a haunted house for like a school project.
Yeah.
And we used to use a lot of like hot glue guns, and for this one we were using a soldering iron to like melt GI Joes and stuff.
Having wars.
Like, yeah, just like melted plastic. Like, that's great. And so my mom called us down for lunch, and we left the soldering iron. This is genius.
Ooh.
On newspaper, just on newspaper. And we went down to grab lunch and came back up, and like we could smell the smoke from like the floor below as we were coming back up. Yeah, totally. And like I went up to just like survey it, and like there was only like a like little fire on the carpet like this big. It looked like that carpet maybe just didn't burn very fast, maybe some fire retardant in there. But the whole place was filled with smoke, and I like ran down and got like a towel, like got it wet, and like threw the towel on the fire, and like we were good. We opened the windows in that room. It all aired out. No one, and then we moved the Domino's machine over the burned carpet. And no one found out about it until we moved out. Like 9 years later.
Meanwhile, y'all moving, and then moms and pops go, wait a minute.
Yeah, what happened? I was like, funny story.
By the way.
Yeah, I forgot.
Memories, man.
It's good to hear. See, this is the kind of stuff that off the cuff is about. We getting these stories that you're not going to hear anywhere else. We get in the background, and these stories and this background shapes us as adults and who we are today, going through these different experiences. So we know you started an arcade, right? 2-Bit Circus out here in LA. You got that going.
No, that's my brother.
Oh, that's your brother. Oh well, man, y'all just wilding. One brother got an arcade company, a brother got an arcade.
Yeah, I got 7 siblings. So
wow. See, I didn't know that.
Wow. So your brother has the 2-Bit Circus, and then you have the units. So man, y'all got it rolling. That's what.
And another one of my brothers makes like premium video games. They released a game with Skybound and I Am 8-Bit last year. They're working on their second title now. Another brother is the creative director at Atmos. They're making like a AAA game.
Yeah.
Thanksgiving.
Competitive
at the
How many games did you make this year? That's awesome. That's a great legacy. Your family is legends. It's amazing.
Yeah. We all enjoy games. It's been a part of our everything from video games to board games and lawn games and stuff. It's been a part of the family, like traditions and everything forever. So
living history.
So we've done our best to stay in that for work.
Right.
So before we kick into the business, I call that the business. I know the guys here had a couple questions. I know Prince had some compatibility questions. I know Mensa had a question. So I'm gonna kick it to the panel, and then we'll move on to what I know you want to plug. So we'll get on to that, but I'll kick it off to the panel.
Cool.
Whatever one of y'all want to go first. You got
I'll let you go first, Prince.
Okay. Mr. Tyler, I wanted to ask, what type of influence did you have with your father as far as the Atari Corporation, as far as like games, like any ideas of games that you've probably thought out of your own head that you gave to your dad, and your dad said, oh man, this is an awesome idea, and became into a reality?
So that's a great question. I kind of missed the era. So like my dad sold Atari in like 74 or something, and I was born in 1980.
Yep. You were right. Yeah, you were right there. Oh.
Yep. Yeah. So I missed it by a pretty good margin. My sister was the beta tester for Pong.
Oh wow.
But I don't know that she had like game ideas. At least none she's ever told me. And there's, as you mentioned, there's plenty of she would mention that with all the sibling rivalries.
Don't challenge her in Pong. That's what that's all we know.
Totally, but it's a great question. And unfortunately, nope.
You're too young, Tyler. You're too young. You was supposed to be Nintendo.
Right. Yeah. Well, so that's actually a funny thing because we were Nintendo kids. For whatever reason, my dad never put an Atari in front of us. I think this is like still a little like, I mean, he didn't like how the Time Warner acquisition went down. Because like, and part of that is that, I mean, the reason he walked out was because they had 8-bit tech like years before Nintendo did. And Time Warner was like, we don't want to release that. Everyone just wants to buy more cartridges for the system they already have. And he's like, you guys are idiots. Like, this is like, no. That was the moment he walked out. And then, like, guess what happened? Nintendo released an 8-bit system and took over the market. And so, like,
the irony of all of that. What's funny, Tyler, is every last one of us on this panel, we've been asked this question: what was your first system? And guess what we all say? Well, I had an Atari 2600 and I played Combat and Pac-Man. So it's funny to hear you say, well, we were Nintendo kids.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And the funny thing too is like we were the last of our friends to get a Nintendo because like, I think like my dad didn't put the Atari in front.
We were the last
of us because he was still kind of burned by the whole thing. And then we were the last to get a Nintendo because he was still burned by the whole thing.
Either way, he's still pissed. Mother, totally. See, that Nintendo was a reminder that he had the 8-bit tech.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And like that he was right about that initial thing. So yeah, it was, and we were like too young to understand any of this. So we were like, I don't care. I want a Nintendo. What are you talking about?
I just want to play my Mario.
Yeah. We did have some fun, like growing up, I mean, my dad had like all kinds of like, he used to do trips to Japan during the Atari days and even afterwards, because he sort of stayed like adjacent to the industry.
Right.
And so like, we always would like dig around in like the far corners of the house and forgotten closets and stuff. And we found some fun stuff there. Like we found a Vectrex one time and pulled that out and plugged it in, and there's a bunch of games for it. We were like, oh, this is sweet.
Vectrex. Wow, that's hard to find right now.
Yeah, totally. I know. I wish we still had that.
Yeah, I'm about to say,
my brother has that. Yeah. But so that was cool.
Oh no!
What else?
Oh, there we go. I'm back.
Oh yeah.
Had some connection issues. I'm sorry about that.
Mr. Mensa had something. So what you got for him, Mr. Mensa?
Well, I was going to actually dive a little bit into the Atari until I got the pretty much the off the cuff bit where you guys had pretty much dumped it. Because see, for me, I was born in '80, and I wholeheartedly remember the Atari. And as you said, that we were one of the last ones to get a Nintendo. But I wanted to dive more into a different aspect of your life for your childhood. For me, growing up, I didn't have cable, but those Saturday morning cartoons were pretty much a profound moment of my life. And I want to know, what was your cult classic for a cartoon?
Good one.
Oh, so we were the same. We never had cable. And Saturday, it was all about that Saturday morning cartoons. In fact, I quit soccer because I was like, I'm done missing Saturday morning cartoons.
Soccer's in the way of my business.
Yeah. Like I wasn't like big on sports anyways, but like that was what sealed the deal. I was like, I'm done.
I don't want to play no sports.
Yeah.
Put on He-Man.
Right. Totally. Yeah. I mean, I had a big He-Man phase. I mean, actually, when I was like 2 years old, I used to run around with my like He-Man sword and yell like, I have the Powie, because I couldn't.
I had the one with the caps in it.
Yes, nice.
I brought that to church.
Sweet.
You
Yeah.
can smell the fire, or the powder from it.
Oh, that's awesome.
Making loud noises.
You getting
Toys were
fighting
awesome in the
demons.
80s, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Battle scarred Skeletor.
Right. Totally. So good. Yeah.
I was a Thundercat guy. I was heavy
yeah.
Thundercats.
Oh, dude, Thundercats were
I
a
was
big
heavy
one.
Thundercats.
Yeah. I was way into Thundercats as well. I feel like that was
Silverhawks.
slightly later than
Oh.
He-Man. I mean, they were on at the same time, but what was that?
Silverhawks.
Silverhawks, right?
Yes.
It was good. But
Yeah. They get the wings because it was between the Thundercats and the Silverhawks. They were so similar.
They were
The
similar,
rumors were that they were like in the same universe because the
That's
way they were
right.
drawn out and
they should
the
have
bad guys.
Yeah,
They
they
should
had
have made that connection.
the same sort of characters.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Very similar.
Yeah, I was big on Thundercats though. I was big on G.I. Joes.
Nice.
Loved the Gummy Bears show.
Oh, love it.
I remember Gummy Bears.
Loved
Bouncing
it.
here and there and everywhere.
Gummy Bears.
I actually turned that on for my daughter. They've got it on something like HBO Max or something.
And they probably was like, oh, my kids love Jim. I got 3 daughters and they love Jim.
Oh, no way. That's awesome.
I'm like, my older cousins, I had girl cousins, a lot of them, and they would force me to sit. I'm like, I don't want to watch Truly Outrageous. I didn't know the name of it, but I remember the song, like, be it that Truly Outrageous and all that.
Right.
I'm like, I don't want to watch that. So I watch every episode.
There was one that came on during our era. I think it was considered the first computer CGI fully animated show.
Is that Reboot?
Reboot.
Yes, Reboot was a good
That
cartoon.
was a dark show.
I don't
Reboot.
Yeah, look that one up, man. I'm sure
Yeah.
it used to come on Fox, right?
For me, I think so, but it was also for me. I think it was on like ABC or something.
Oh,
like
ABC. I'm sorry, ABC.
Yeah.
I think it was. Yeah,
Okay.
Reboot. That was a good one.
But it got real dark at the end. It started off all childlike, and then near the end, it was just went sinister.
They like did some audience surveys. They
Yeah,
were like,
'cause-
oh,
yeah, 'cause the
a bunch
young
of
boy
college
that
kids
you
watching this.
Yeah, it's pretty much.
Yeah, like the Teletubbies were like, they had like their prime audience were like people doing acid.
They were like,
Yeah.
La la.
So Tyler, this was perfect, man. We got to know, and the audience getting to hear your favorites, how you got started, some of your childhood stories. But now we're gonna talk about the business, Tyler, the businessman, right? And you started a company, man. Tell us, how did that all start? What made you want to start? What does it take to get in this business? Because we see home arcades becoming a thing now. There's some joys and pains, getting licenses, stuff like that. Tell us about what it took and why did you start Polycade?
Yeah, totally. I'll start with the why. So for me, I mean, growing up like in the arcade era for the most part, I missed having access to that type of play because it's different from console play, right? It's certain games play best on an arcade machine, but you also have just like the factor of like a dedicated unit, right? The screen doesn't belong to any other system. Like the machine can kind of stay on and be available for like quick games here and there. Just a play style that just doesn't really suit consoles very well. Also, as like in my friend group, I'm like the gamer guy, right? And so like I could sit my friends down and like put an Xbox controller in each one of their hands and like turn on a Towerfall or Speedrunners or any of those games, like great like modern indie titles that we always played a lot of. But like that all required like a high degree of intentionality and like making sure all your controllers are charged and like all these other things, and you can't just like drop into it, right?
Right.
Do an update.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, exactly. And it's like it's even just like the exercise of like turning on the console, turning on the TV, making sure they're on the right video, like all these like little things it's just like friction for the experience, right?
Yeah.
So I wanted to like make an arcade machine for my house, that would sort of, give me this like easier play experience with my friends, easier play experience for like a quick game here and there, like, when I'm having my coffee and other stuff like that. So I went about like making my own arcade machine. And I really got like, deep down into the weeds on it. Like I ordered like every single button on the market and every different joystick, and like trying to figure out, because it's when you're trying to make a machine that does a lot inside like a limited space, because I knew I didn't want what I call a Franken panel.
We know.
Yeah.
So like, you don't want a machine that has every arcade control on it, because it's just
that's a good word.
That's a good word.
And also I wanted this machine to be in my living room. And my wife is like an interior designer. And she was like, no way.
Right.
So that explains your design as to why it could blend in with like a modern living
Something
room.
acceptable.
Okay.
Totally. Yeah. So the I was like, well, what if it looks different? Like, maybe we can solve that. So I came up with like, I don't know, 30 different designs and showed them to her, and she's like, okay, that one can go in the living room.
Yeah, that blends in for sure.
Yeah. So yeah, and it's the design, like, I'm quite happy with how it turned out. It's like a sort of fits like a mid-century type retro design, but also fits like more like modern houses and whatnot. So I think it does a good job of flowing into just about any space.
Which one was your first design?
Yeah,
the Lux.
Deluxe. Okay.
Yeah, the Lux model. Interesting to see how this renders on your computer here.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll have to fix that little. But so it's the new model. The Sente is essentially the same design as the Lux.
Okay.
Oh, so that's the same. It's the same design.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're both like this wall-mounted version of the machine.
Okay. Yeah, I did my dollar pre-order, and so I'm waiting, man. I'm waiting.
All right.
Put it in my
Tuesday's the day. So yeah, we're very excited about the Sente launch. We've always done our manufacturing in the US and made to order.
Nice.
Which is great for your balance sheet, but is not good for the product cost.
Exactly.
And it's also great, like, in the terms that our machine to date has been like very kind of craftsman made. And so that's been nice, but the price point has admittedly been pretty like hard to reach, right? $5,000 for an arcade machine,
right?
Even at this quality is a lot to ask of most people.
Yeah.
Especially when most arcade machines on the market in this category, excluding the super cheap ones, are around $2,500.
Yeah, that's that's about right.
So the Sente is basically the same quality as the Lux. It's a little smaller. So the Lux uses a 27-inch screen. The Sente will be a 24-inch screen.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But the real big change with the Sente is that it's manufactured overseas, mass produced. So we're able to like maintain that same quality level and powder coated steel cabinet, all premium controls and everything, but bring down the price significantly. So end retail price on this will be $2,500.
Okay.
And we're doing a pre-sale starting on Tuesday. And that's going to be kind of traditional sort of, it's going to be on Kickstarter. We're going to be, and yeah, actually, this is the other thing that we're excited about. If you scroll up, the swappable control panels that you see on the left here,
that's bananas. Yeah, the control panels.
Yeah. So funny enough, we prototyped this in the second version of the Lux like 6 years ago. And so as you see, like the panels on behind me, those are all Lux panels. It has a swappable panel system, and even I've got like the prototypes for it here.
Oh, I see. Okay, up top. Yeah.
Right. But we never produced those other modules because, you know, it just didn't make business sense because the Lux is an expensive product and there's only so many of them out in the field. And so if we make, you know, an accessory for it, then our total possible market is like however many Luxes are out in the field.
Right.
So bringing the price of the product down, making it accessible for more people, means that we can do fun stuff like this now.
Nice.
So really excited for this. We will be offering like massive discounts on the Sente for this pre-sale period.
Okay.
So Tuesday it will be the lowest price for that day only. That's going to be a 50% discount. So you'd be able to get a Sente for $12.50.
That's cheap. That's cheap. Guys, I ain't never seen this price.
Yeah, I mean, that's like
Tuesday. I mean, is one of them Mr. Prince.
Three arcade one-ups, right?
Give us the date. I heard the day, but the date.
November 7th.
November 7th. Yep.
November 7th.
Tuesday, November 7th.
Okay.
Yeah. So everyone make sure you lock in that one. But even if you miss that, there's going to be several early bird tiers where the price just ratchets up like $100 each tier, and then the final price in the pre-sale campaign will be $16.75.
That's still
which is still 33% off, right? It's a bigger discount than you'll ever see for this unit again.
And this is going to be on, you said, on a Kickstarter?
Yeah.
And has that started yet?
No.
Okay.
This Tuesday, the
Tuesday,
7th
gotcha.
is that launch day. So
the launch day of the Kickstarter on the 7th, on Tuesday, it's a one-time, one-day event.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's
it's exciting to hear.
Yeah.
We've been talking about it for years. Like, just if. Hey.
No excuses no more. Hey, I'm interested about, so Tyler, there's a PC in here. Now, this is the thing that gets me. There's a PC inside of this, folks. So when you buy this arcade, you're not getting the little small PCB that could probably run just your basic MAME games. Let's talk a little bit, as much as you can disclose, about what's inside of this machine.
Yeah, totally. So we're actually offering two different versions of the machine. One is with the PC. It's a mini PC. It's like pretty reasonable spec considering, you know, it's folding into a $12.50 price.
Right.
With this mini PC, and we actually might be upping the specs, but we probably won't know the details on that until like midway through the campaign.
Okay.
But as it stands now, the PC that we've spec'd would run at the most like Street Fighter V with the specs turned down.
Really? I mean, that's reasonable. I mean, Street Fighter V. What more you want on the machine?
Yeah.
Wow, but you said with the specs turned down. That's crazy.
That's what I'm saying.
The graphics options for Street Fighter V turned down.
Right.
That's still decent.
That's powerful. I mean, I can run Miss Pac-Man on that just fine.
How about to say,
you know, like that's great.
Crazy Taxi will run on it.
Yeah, and like we've like really like done like run through all the different things that you would want to play on an arcade machine in terms of modern games. And basically the only games that are really graphic demanding or like CPU demanding are going to be your like modern fighting games. And so, you know, the mini PC will basically run anything you'd want to play, modern or retro, on an arcade machine. And then if you're like planning on playing tons of modern fighting games, then you could go for the other option, which is the Sente without the PC. So this will include our like open frame ATX chassis. So you would basically then install your own PC components into that chassis, and at that point you have control over what your specs are.
And the thing about this PC, the Polycade front end, basically bring my own PC and still run that front end, correct?
Yeah, totally. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
exactly.
Wow.
Yeah, so you
That's
install your own PC, then download and install our software,
Yeah.
which is
That's
like as easy as that. Double click the, and it's pretty much done, and you've got the same thing.
So with the Polycade front end, I'm also able to bring my own game that I own and also Steam, right? Or is there any other apps?
So there's like all kinds of stuff you can thread into it, but the main ones that we see people doing, so like our software, and it's important to note that like with all of these things that I'm going to mention, it pulls the games into the UI so that you're launching them all from one UI, right?
Okay.
So like any Steam games that you install on your system, our software will like pull them forward to the UI. You can launch them from our UI.
It's amazing.
You can also drop in any ROMs you have. Our software will grab the images for those ROMs. You can also customize that stuff. And then
I'm loving this.
And like GOG games, itch games, like all of that stuff you can drop in. We don't have an automatic thing for those, but you can just drop them into an appropriate folder and then they'll show up in the UI. And most of those will still pull a graphic. And if it doesn't, you can always manually add it. And then worth mentioning also that like our software automatically installs the emulators for your ROMs. So it automatically installs them and configures them.
I ain't gotta go Google it. Oh,
One more thing.
Yeah, it's like
awesome.
all you got to do is drop the ROMs into the folder and you're done. And so like that's that. We're taking all the like tech work out of it for people. And for the folks that want to get under the hood, you can always like, because it's all of the like emulators and their config files are exposed for you in the folders, so you can go in and customize settings if you wanted to do that.
So what Tyler is telling everybody, because you know what I'm about to say, Tyler, we got some folks that's watching and they're gonna say, man, my wife is gonna kill me, I can't order nothing else. So what Tyler is telling y'all, you can consolidate your whole arcade room into this machine.
Yeah,
that's the point, right, Mensa?
Exactly.
Yes,
that's the selling point.
I mean, it's a great.
That's what we sell into the wide.
There's a high probability she'll let you put it in the living room too.
There it is.
Especially if you sell off all the rest of the stuff.
Yeah.
I'm looking at this, and I'm looking around my room here, and I'm like, damn, if I could, I got a computer. He said I could use my light guns because I got a send-in. I can use my send-in because it's a computer. Yep. I could plug in a Logitech, what's that, G20, whatever.
Yeah, the wheel.
I could do all of that on one machine.
Totally. You could also like plug in an HDMI out to like an external screen, so that you like reflect the screen onto like something that's in front of your couch, and hook up an Xbox controller Bluetooth to the Polycade.
Oh man!
And you can play games that way, right?
That's an easy sell, Mensa. I think we're gonna be able to pull this one off.
Is there like an encoder board for this? Like examples, if I wanted to hook up the Switch or something like that, like would the encoder work on your board?
So we're the boards that we're using are made by Brook, which they're basically like the gold standard in my opinion for fight sticks and controller boards. Nice. We made a special board with them that's specifically designed for arcade machines, because you have some. So the reason we like selected X input, which is what an Xbox controller uses, as the like protocol for our machines, because most arcade machines out there use a keyboard controller. And the problem with the keyboard controller, it works great for retro stuff, but it's like the worst for modern games. And there's a few reasons for that. One is that modern games like don't have standardization for what like keyboard controls should be, right? So every game's like a little different. So if your buttons are all like wired to different keyboard buttons, then that means that you're going to have to get in and customize like the button mapping for every modern game that you want to play on your machine.
Right.
So like that sucks. And furthermore, most games don't even allow you to customize button mounting.
Right.
So like most of the games will be off limits for you because it just doesn't happen to use the right buttons that you've hooked your arcade machine up to.
Right.
So using X input controller solves all of that. Basically, it's like fully standardized across the board. Just about every game that you'd want to play on an arcade machine is mapped to X input controls. So basically, like all your modern games work right out of the box. You don't have to do any configuration. Now, the one issue with controllers when used on an arcade machine is that it's hard to you can't really set the player order on the hardware level.
Right.
Arcade machine, you want player 1 to be on the left, player 2 to be on the right. And so the boards that we made with Brooke fixed that problem.
Oh, wow.
So we gonna, man, look, I'm over
I
here.
remember when I did Pandora, that was a problem.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Now, one other thing. So you mentioned like if you wanted to put a switch inside the machine.
Right.
So like as it stands now, our boards don't work on the switch.
Understood.
You would need, but there are like adapters that, so Brooke has like what they call wingman converters. So you would be able to plug those in and put your switch inside the machine.
There you go.
Same goes for like PlayStation 5, Xbox,
Right.
like all of those have converters. Now, one thing that we actually just heard from Brooke on today is that the boards so we're going to use our boards for the Sente that we made with them. But it sounds like they might be able to actually make those same boards, like do a firmware update on the new model.
Oh, wow.
And make them work with a switch, make them work with like other systems.
Hey, look, what else?
Smash Brothers.
You got everybody sold, man. Because I tell you, it's getting harder and harder, man. Inflation trying to convince these women. Hey, look, the reason I need this is because Mr. Show and I got to show some gameplay. I've been using this.
Hey, one other note. I found with both of my daughters as like 6-month-olds, like something that calms them when they're like freaking out, crying and stuff, like when they're upset. I turn on a one-hand game like Pac-Man or Q-Bird or something. They're just like glued to the screen. They stop crying. They're like, you got the baby in one hand, you're playing on the other one, and they're like, they're engaged.
They are.
And we seen Mr. Minister's son. He actually beat us in a game, so we know that these machines will occupy these kids.
NBA Jam tournament.
Yep.
Wow, you took me down in NBA Jam.
Nobody knew they were playing my son, and then I showed them that it was him who made the championship. My 8-year-old at the time.
And I consider myself an avid player.
He beat King.
I'm like, how am I losing him? It's the Minister.
I was typing and like, how's he typing?
How's he typing and playing? Oh man, my ego! I ain't gonna lie about it. I said, "Bitch, get him out of here."
That was great.
So, hey, Prince. Hey, we got our talking points. So, what we gonna get rid of?
One quick question. All right, you got this phenomenal hardware cooking up. You got this wonderful price in the Kickstarter coming up. What about the developers that you have coming to the system?
Yes.
And are you open to new indie developers, and how can they do that?
Bingo.
Yeah, definitely. So we're we've been putting most of our efforts into the hardware recently, but we're starting to chat with developers again. And we'd love to bring other games onto the platform. A few interesting notes about our platform, and this might change a little bit with the Sente, but in general, most of our customers, we have no real crossover with Steam. Like most of our customers have never heard of Steam.
Really?
Which is pretty interesting. Yeah. So like our game store has very little crossover. Also, because these machines work in commercial environments, so We've got a bunch of machines in like apartment building rec rooms, dentists' offices, bars, and everything else. It becomes like a good way to like let people demo your games and just add some extra marketing power there. And we're going to see that with the price. So $5,000 was a reasonable price for commercial venues. $2,500 is going to change the game, and we're going to see a lot more bars and like other places like that installing these machines.
Awesome.
I have a tough question for you. This looks like an older article, and Prince's great question had me looking about developer options and stuff. And I see something called the Polycade 2600. Is that? Can you talk about that at all?
Yeah. So like we ran an Indiegogo a few years ago, and we kind of consider the whole campaign to be a pretty big failure.
Okay.
And like looking back at it now, like it was a boneheaded idea, but basically the idea was,
but look where you're at now.
Yeah, you got to test stuff, right?
Yeah.
And so like we tried to center, that was when we were releasing our software, Polycade AGS, for consumer use, because before that it was just for commercial use. And so the idea behind the Indiegogo campaign was like, it was centered around the software. Like, here's this like new software platform you can play, and here's all these different ways you can play it. So like we got the arcade machines, and then the 2600 was a test to see if like people were interested in a console type thing. That 2600, by the way, was meant to be, if you want like a PC, a gaming PC in your living room to play on your TV, there's like kind of weird options. You're starting to see more options for that now in terms of like a good looking case. But that was the idea behind the 2600, is that it's just a ATX PC case that like looks like it belongs in your living room.
Right, because it said accessible, and when I read accessible, it reads as like, for handicapped folks or people with, is that what it was talking about? Or was it
no?
Okay.
Yeah, well, that was the wrong word to use.
Understood. Okay, that's why
I guess it is accessible
cool,
for everyone, because
stuff.
Yeah, that's more of a question of controllers, but it was meant to be like, you don't have to buy a whole arcade machine for this.
Well, I thank you for entertaining that question.
Yeah.
So what's next, Tyler? I know we're getting close to the end of this, but I always like to ask our guests, like, okay, we about to get through this Sente release. We about to do this Kickstarter, but I know you don't want to disclose too much, but are there any plans to continue making different iterations of this? Or are you just going to push existing stock? What is the goal here?
Yeah, so the way that we're thinking about the product line moving forward is the Sente is definitely going to be the central product, and our goal is to focus on that as like the base unit, and then add additional like accessories that make sense for it over time, right?
Okay.
A lot of that will be advertised in the Kickstarter campaign.
Perfect.
But we're not going to be producing certain things like a driving wheel controller until we have like enough Sentes in the market to like, make that make sense, right?
Makes sense.
And so Sente moving forward, we may at some point like have similar iterations, but really we're going to be focused on the Sente and what we can do. With a larger audience, it enables so many things, from additional accessories to like more games on the platform, additional features in the software platform, right? There's a bunch of features on the software side that we'd love to implement. And so having a bigger footprint in terms of users and adoption makes all of that possible. And then I mentioned commercial as well. Commercial is something that has always been part of our market. And we're excited to see more Sentes out in commercial spaces. The way that we think about our platform is one that sort of exists between, you can have it at home, but you can also play it out at a bar or whatever. And some of those software features I mentioned, like, matter for that sort of
That's true.
dual usage, right? Already with our platform, any games that you own on Polycade AGS, so of course you can play them at home, but if we have the ability to log into AGS, and so that works in like a commercial environment, like a bar.
That's key.
So if you go and you log into a machine that's in a bar, any games that you own on our platform will show up and be playable for you there.
Yeah, that's key.
So as we move forward, we'll be adding additional features to that functionality, like save state that persists between venues. Leaderboards is something we've always been
Leaderboards.
It's like the Neo Geo did.
That I'm about to say Neo Geo, yeah.
Yeah, and so we've got like the fledgling pieces in leaderboards in there right now, but it does still need work, and so that's going to be a fun one too. And like being able to visit a different venue, like a public venue, will give you like additional like badges and stuff on your leaderboards, and
that's pretty neat.
So there's a lot of fun stuff we can do on that side. So we're psyched to get a bunch of Sentes out into the field, and then just focus on like nurturing that, both the software side as well as the accessory side.
Makes sense. I seen a Polycade at a brewery in El Segundo or in LA, and I was like, oh shoot, Polycade right at the bar. People was going up playing it, so they're
nice.
Out.
Yeah, they've always done. They get a lot of play in those environments.
Yeah.
Like naturally, people want to play games and stuff. The Sente will also have 2 like payment device mounting locations. So for those like commercial venues,
I was going to ask about that.
Yeah, they'll be able to easily install like bill acceptors or credit card readers. Yeah. People, a lot of venues want that. I do think like a free play machine is nice in most venues, but
yeah. They want to capitalize there.
Got to give the people what they want.
That's awesome.
Exactly. But that's actually another place where like, we can like really grease the wheels on some of the things when players have a user account, and like we see you in our network, like we can give you free time on the machine on those games.
Oh,
like that,
that's really out the box right there. I love that.
Yeah, so like there can be a lot of like fun if like you get an achievement and like boom, like you've got like a bunch of free time for those commercial venues.
Right.
So there's psyched for more features like that we'll be able to build in over time.
Have y'all created like a phone app or anything to like do that kind of stuff yet? Or are you looking towards that, you think?
No. Sorry. I should say we do. Yeah. So because you can log in, you can do like account management and stuff on your phone. And then there will be some other like account features on there. We would like to at some point make an app that like has things like maps, like track down Polycade near you and things like that.
Okay, that's great.
Sorry. When you said that, I thought you meant playing games on it.
Oh no.
Yeah, right.
I meant the broader spectrum.
He said, "Not yet."
Yeah.
Hold on.
The like assistant app.
Yes.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. So we've got like the initial one. It's all web based at the moment. But,
right.
When you load it up on your phone, it just looks like an app.
Right.
And
awesome.
then ultimately
nice.
Be a real app.
Don't give him no more work, Mensa.
Yeah, I mean, you asked at some point, Brent, like, what did it take to like build?
What does it take?
Dude, there's a software component, there's a hardware component, there's a licensing component. Like,
right.
Hardware is hard by itself, right? That's like a classic startup saying, like hardware is hard. But add in like all of the other components, and there's a lot of moving pieces. And so like, we've been doing this for 8 years.
Wow.
And like, I feel like we are like at the foundation here. What we've built so far is like is great. I mean, as far as I've seen, it's no one else has got what we've got.
Right.
And there's a whole lot more cool stuff that we can build on top of this.
Y'all heard that
It's
here?
exciting to hear.
A whole lot more. Hey, and you heard him say 8 years. Now, Prince, you know, some people try to start these arcade companies and try to have an overnight success, but he said 8 years. And you got to put in work, man. So it's good for the people to hear that you've been in business almost 10 years, and you said you just now feel like you at the foundation.
Wow.
That's key,
totally.
key, man.
Yeah, and like, hey, you know, I mean, we've talked about, you know, I don't know if we're going to be changing this now with the Sente, but we have talked to other arcade builders about like shipping our software on their machines so that they can like have legal arcade machines.
Interesting.
So that's something that we're still potentially interested in. If you know, there's a lot of folks that enjoy making machines in their garage or whatever.
Right.
Yes.
And so if they're looking for the really hard part, you know, aside from like mass producing hardware, is software and licensing. So
all the Etsy arcades and the OfferUps arcade, you type in arcade on OfferUp, you get 30,000 game system, 3,000.
Right.
So that's actually a smart niche to go into. I like that.
Amazing. Smart.
Yeah, and you can still load your ROMs on it. You know, our software works with that stuff, but yeah. So
to close things out, man, I'm gonna turn the panel over and let them get some lasting words, and I'm gonna let Tyler, you end it with your plugs. Plug away, plug it in. So, Mr. Mensa, I'll let you finish it off. Prince, kick off. Any lasting words?
All right.
Me first.
No, let Prince. Mensa, and then we're gonna let you end it, Tyler, because you got
we're gonna let you end it.
You got some shit.
Yeah, whatever you got to do at the end, the plugs, all that good stuff. That's all.
Nice.
You gonna close it out, but Prince, Prince.
Yeah. To the viewing public that's watching this, man, this Polycade, the Sente right here, this is the answer. Like, this is the future of arcade, and I'm definitely going to be a part of that Kickstarter, and I'm going to get mines of my own. But like, what we have offered here now, it's child's play compared to what's been told today.
Hey, you heard him, Mr. Mensa. He put your wallet. Your wallet is already sitting on the table. I see it. You already.
Thank you for coming by, and now my wife's going to kill me.
Night.
I mean, it was a great sell. I've been wanting a Polycade for a long time, and when you said that price, you opened up the floodgates for a lot of us, and that was exactly the price. I would talk in the chat like, man, if this man, just put it at that price, and you did it.
Nice.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tyler, man. Thank you for your time, man. I appreciate you as always, man. We did business together. We been on different shows together. So appreciate you again taking your time out on this Friday, sitting down with us, giving us who Tyler is, talking about business. We talked about play. And so now plug away.
Nice. Well, right on. Thank you, Brent, and thanks for having me. Well, so yeah, we've got the Kickstarter going live on Tuesday. There will be one day only special on that day only.
One night only.
One day, limited time offer. And then, but if you miss that day, there's still going to be like other early bird specials. And then, as mentioned before, the final price in the Kickstarter will still be at 33% off. It'll be the lowest you'll ever see this machine at. Until after that launch, it'll go up to $2,500. And actually, for if you're going for the no PC version, that day one deal is $999, and so
you're killing them, man. You're killing them.
And I think that we've got the final price on the no PC version at like $14.75 in the Kickstarter campaign.
Wow.
So Don't want to miss this pre-sale. And then, but yeah, so make sure you get it on the pre-sale. And if you don't, then buy one later.
Too bad. You heard it from us. You heard Tyler. You heard it out the horse's mouth. He said you got one day only. I'm sorry. 24 hours.
Yeah.
To make it happen. Talk to your wives now, because we giving you advice. We giving you tips, giving you ways to sell this. Let's see your salesman skills. Make it happen.
That's right. And keep in mind also, Kickstarter doesn't charge you until the end of the campaign. So like you got 30 days to, get the order in, and like you got 30 days to change your mind.
30 days to figure this out.
Yeah, exactly.
Close us on out, Mr. Minster. Thank you again, Tyler.
All right. Make sure to stick with us when I end recording. Stick up with us backstage. And thank you, everybody. Thank you, Mr. Bushnell, Tyler, for coming through and gracing us. Your family is history. We're living with history. And thank you for continuing this passion of gaming for us and our future generations. And thank you, folks. And have a good day, everybody.
Peace.